Welcome to the sold items report. This is about as granular as we can get in the business and is actually really important to go back and check here. Many of you check your orders in the Amazon seller app, but you know it involves a lot of clicking through to see what the item was, how much Amazon took in fees. They're just going to show you the overall item and the sale price there. So what this does is actually going to do at a SKU level, and we can actually filter this by source, and that's where the real power comes in. But it's sorted from date most recent to older, and you can scroll all the way down. You can see lots and lots and lots of data, again, depending on how much you have. So you can set this up for all. You can see the drop-down menu here, or we could actually zoom in on individual sources. Now what this is doing is it's going to show us on 3/31, so March 31, here's the items we sold. Here's the title, so if you're curious what those were. Here's the SKU, and again, I base my SKUs, I pretty much do the source, the month and year that I listed it, the item number within that particular source and month, and then the cost. And then what we do here is we can see how much we sold the item for. So in this case, $8.95. I like to try and aim for $10 or $12 at this point, but every once in a while there's still some profitable books that are cheaper, usually because they're lighter. Amazon took $6 on this, that we're helping make them rich. Our cost of inventory, again, it's built into the SKU, but it also pulls from the listing data and knows how much we paid for it. It's $1. So our overall profit is $1.82, and then two key metrics to look at. One is profit margin, and margin is simply profit divided by the overall sales price. So 20% of our overall sales price trickled down and became profit for us in this particular case. And the other is ROI, or return on investment. Now our investment in this particular book was $1. Our profit was $1.82. So the formula for return on investment is profit divided by cost. In this case, it's going to be 182% return on our investment. Not bad, but you can see a lot of other books, you'll make a lot better returns. Now, if you're showing zero cost of goods, then the ROI is naturally going to default to zero. It's technically infinity, but we're just going to show zero for the sake of this argument. Now, what you can do then is it gives you a good feel. If you're selling a book for $19 or $20 roughly, Amazon's taking $9, your profit is 11, your profit margin is 55, so very healthy. There's no return because this is a book we got for free or we're selling on consignment. But as you go down, you can see what's going on. Now, it'll also give you an idea of what's, this inventory looks like Amazon lost half a box of inventory, which cool for us. Their standard reimbursement is $12. Here's one they reimbursed us for 89 cents. A lot of times that doesn't cover the cost of the book or your inbound shipping. So that's one we're probably going to go open a case for or claim and say, hey, you gave me 89 cents. I think it should be a little bit higher, and oftentimes you'll be able to get a few extra dollars. So this is a good way to kind of zoom in and help you identify where some reimbursements could possibly be. Now, if you're getting removal orders or some other shipment fees and stuff that come in, those are going to show up in this sheet as well when you're looking at the all, and we'll show you how to filter by source in a minute. Now, anything that shows up as negative, it's going to be a little confusing. Kind of ignore the profit margin and ROI. Negative numbers are returns. So this particular book was returns. Amazon is nice enough to return their fees as well. We're going to reverse the cost of goods sold because we're assuming this goes back into our inventory, and our profit here is now minus $5 and change. You can see another return down here. Now, if you see negative numbers in a particular listing, here's a book that we sold for $8.40. Amazon took most of that. Our cost of goods was $2. And we actually ended up losing money. So those are not good books to have. Ideally, you'd set better floors with your inventory, but the more inventory you have, the harder it is to track. And this is a good reference for me to say, hey, I need to go back and look at some of my inventory and make sure I'm not doing this on a regular basis. But you can get a good idea of what your returns are, how your return on investment, and what your profit margins are. Again, the cheaper the book, the lower the profit margin is going to be. The more expensive the book, a $40 book, a lot more of that comes to you, and a little bit less as a percentage goes to Amazon. Now, where this really comes in handy is when you start looking at a source level. Now, you can just type a source in here. So if you want to type steak trip, you can do so, and it will actually just pull everything up for you. And we got a couple returns here off the bat. It looks like kind of a bad stretch for returns, but overall we're doing fairly well. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, is a little bit bigger source, so we have a lot of data here. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, once we get there, it'll actually give you overall metrics for your source, which is pretty handy. Okay, so we can see how many books we've sold, the sales, Amazon's fees, our cost of goods that actually sold, our profit on that, profit margin, and return on investment. Now, return on investment is going to be a little bit higher here because it's not technically our entire investment. On this particular batch, I think we've sold about half of them, and our overall cost was $600. So our return on investment here is just showing return on the books that have actually sold. So a $3,000 profit off a $300 investment is 10 times your return, or 1,000%. Realistically, we actually spent $600, so our return on investment so far is about 500%, or 5 times that. So don't let this number confuse you. This is just return on the books that have actually sold. Now, a couple other things. If you type this in incorrectly, so if you typed in steak trip with a space, Excel is smart enough to say, hey, none of this doesn't exist. Do you want to rename it to steak trip? Never, ever, ever do that. So don't click OK, just click cancel. And you can either retype it back in, or if you want to be safe, you can go ahead and come in here and actually just select which one you want. So we're going to deselect everything, and then we're going to come back down here, and you could click on Crofts, for example. And it's going to populate again. It's showing the most recent items you've sold first, all the way down to the bottom. And again, at the bottom of this, once we get there, you can get a feel for how your overall margins are done. Now, this is someone I sold on consignment for. Their average sale price was actually fairly good. Looks like about $25 to $28, maybe $30. So that's pretty healthy, and you can see the profit margin as a result is really good as well. Amazon's not taking as much from these more expensive books as they are from cheaper books. ROI, because we spent 0, this is a consignment deal. ROI just shows up as 0. The other option would be divide by 0 error, and we don't want to do that or show that. So this is a good way to do this. When I give commission reports, I'll typically go back in, I'll take a screenshot, and there's ways to do that on Windows or Mac. If you have a Mac, it's Command-Shift-4. You can actually come in here, and I would typically grab from up here all the way down, and let's say I was going through the beginning of October for Kicks and Giggles. I would just take a screenshot there and then email that to them, or you could try and copy paste and hope that it retains all the formatting as well. But this is a great way to zoom in to see what's going on with your business, as well as to provide reports for those you're selling on consignment for, on which books sold and for how much. So again, it keeps everything on the up and up, keeps people honest, keeps you honest if you tend to be struggle in that arena. And that is the sold items report.